Today, I'm going to explain an action thriller movie called Lock Up. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie opens inside a garage in Hoboken, New Jersey, where a mechanic named Frank Leone is cleaning photos of his deceased mentor. The place looks like it is being renovated after a long period of neglect. From the way that Frank meticulously cleans the place and looks around with pride, it is obvious that he has a deep emotional connection with the garage. Sometime later, he is visited by a beautiful woman who says that she has some problems with her car. Frank replies that he can help her out, but the lady dismisses him, saying that she needs an expert. This sounds like an insult, but it is evident that she is trying to flirt with him. Turns out the beautiful lady is Melissa, Frank's longtime girlfriend. The casual flirting soon changes into intimate kissing, after which she gives him an oil change. Then the two head out. They soon arrive at a local park, where Frank plays football with some neighborhood children while Melissa watches happily. He peaked in high school. However, things are not as simple as they appear on the surface. Frank is doing time at the Norwood Correctional Facility, a low-security prison where people with minor offenses are kept. He is actually out right now on furlough and has to return back to the facility soon. Thus, Melissa quickly drives and drops him off at Norwood with a heavy heart. It is then revealed that he had assaulted a group of people who were attacking his mentor and friend. He was then arrested and sent to Treadmore Correctional Facility with a short sentence. However, when his aged mentor was extremely sick, Frank requested the warden of Treadmore to let him visit the hospital. The request was denied, and Frank had no option but to break out of the facility. This turned out to be the last time he would meet his mentor, as the old man died that very day. When a distraught Frank came back to Treadmore, he reported the prison's bad treatment of its inmates to the press. This caused the warden to be demoted, while Frank, who had broken serious rules by running away, had to face 5 more years in prison. But due to his model behavior, Frank was soon transferred to Norwood Correctional. He now has around 6 months left before he can be a free man again. As Frank walks inside Norwood, we see him being on good terms with all the guards and inmates alike. They all love him, and he doesn't create any unnecessary trouble for anyone. Unfortunately, that night, things begin to go south for Frank, who is nearing the end of his sentence. A group of cops arrive at Norwood and aggressively enter his cell. Frank is unceremoniously cuffed and dragged out, while the Norwood guards are unable to intervene. These cops then inform him that he is being transferred to another prison. When Frank points out that he was not given any prior notice, the men unapologetically tell him that this is how they do. Moments later, a bewildered Frank is shoved into a van and driven off to a high-security prison called Gateway. This facility is run by a ruthless warden named Drum Ghoul, who greets Frank as he is being brought in. With a name like that, I think he talks like this. The latter is shocked to see him, much to the warden's delight. Turns out Drum Ghoul was in charge of Treadmore Correctional, the same man who hadn't allowed Frank an hour's leave to see his mentor. Shortly after, Frank is shown to his cell and given the rundown of the strict rules by the head guard, Meissner. Frank walks around angrily in his cell, but he's soon taken to meet with the warden. The two come face to face, and Drum Ghoul talks about how he's been waiting for this day for a long time. Ever since Frank had broken out of his prison, Drum Ghoul had to face massive backlash. His previously pristine reputation was flushed down the drain, and he was transferred to Gateway. Frank is pissed off at this and retorts that whatever Drum Ghoul is going through, it's because of his own actions. Had he allowed Frank an hour to visit his mentor, things wouldn't have gone in that direction. However, the warden once again reiterates that Frank was the one who broke the law, but he was the one who suffered for it. Frank responds by saying that he suffered too, being sentenced to 5 more years. In a rather sinister way, Drum Ghoul announces that Frank's suffering isn't over yet. Then he says, Sometime later, Frank is sent to be deloused, where he is humiliated and stripped by the guards. He is asked to step into a transparent chamber, which is then filled with a suspicious-looking white gas, meant to kill disease-carrying bugs. The guards tell him that he has to hold his breath for 30 seconds, as the gas is too dangerous to be inhaled. As expected, Drum Ghoul intervenes and lets this process continue for well over 30 seconds. Frank tries to hold his breath for as long as possible, but ultimately coughs and breathes heavily. The warden only flushes out the gas when his new prisoner is down on his knees. The next day, Frank enters the yard and meets some of the other inmates. One of them, named Chink, who is the main bully of the prison, has been ordered to make Frank's life hell. He tries to provoke the newbie by taking out a pocket knife, but this is seen by the head guard Meissner, who steps in and demands that he give up the shank. Chink's men, who are all around him in a group, quickly hide the weapon. Thus, Meissner can't find any evidence of wrongdoing even after searching the bully. He then turns to Frank and asks him about it. However, our guy doesn't want to create any trouble and says that he didn't see anything.
Look, man, I didn't see nothing, okay?
Later on, as he is cleaning the floors, he is approached by Dallas, an inmate who is with Frank at Treadmore. He is trying to break out of the prison and even asks Frank to help him to do so, but the latter isn't interested in such risky ventures and turns the offer down. Dallas then takes him to the prison's garage and promises to get him a job there, but the head mechanic Eclipse wants no trouble and doesn't seem to trust Frank. He tells the two friends to get out of there, despite Dallas's protests. Later on, Melissa arrives at Gateway and talks to the guards in the reception area. She wants to see Frank, but the guards tell her that she can't do so, as per the new rules of the prison. Thankfully, Meissner arrives and tells her that Frank is fine. She demands to know why he was transferred despite being a model prisoner, to which Meissner replies that it was just a routine transfer. In the next scene, Frank is seen cleaning a piece of machinery. When Dallas finds him again, he has gotten a hold of some blueprints and has an escape plan. He tells Frank that there is a pipe running out of the prison that they can escape through. After wriggling in the pipe for a while, they will reach a smaller duct that runs all the way to the roof. Frank immediately dismisses the plan as the pipe carries hot air out of the facility. If they so much as get inside of it, they will both be fried to a crisp inside of a few minutes. During lunch, the duo spots a young inmate sitting alone and joins them. The guy, known by his nickname, First Base, says that he doesn't want to be a part of their group. If he got to know them, they'd have to call him Second Base. Just then, they see an inmate stab another with a knife and walk away casually. Frank then tells First Base that the only way to survive this prison is to stick together. One day, Frank and First Base are hanging out in the yard when they are provoked into playing a game of football with Chink and his buds. Frank is roughhoused throughout the game, but is otherwise a good player. Meanwhile, Eclipse is watching everything go down from the sidelines, and he gets very angry to see the newbie being outnumbered. He thus decides to join in, and the two end up winning the game. They eventually become closer because of this, and Eclipse invites Frank to work at the garage. The next day, Frank shows up in his new workplace, and his eyes immediately fall on an old Ford Mustang. It's a great car, way past its glory, but he offers to fix it up. As days pass by, Frank works hard on fixing the car, displaying his skills and determination. He is also joined by his new friends, Dallas, First Base, and Eclipse. Together, they fix up the car and even give it a fresh coat of red paint.
Man, I can't wait to never be able to drive this,
says Frank. One afternoon, First Base and Frank are hanging out in the garage, and the latter offers to teach his friend how to drive. First Base gets in nervously, but as he drives around the garage, he starts to get more and more confident. Sadly, though, he doesn't know where to apply the brakes, and eventually drives out of the garage and into the yard. There, this hot red car is spotted by the warden, and he orders the guards to pull First Base out. This also gives the warden the perfect opportunity to pin the blame on Frank and punish him further. Just as he had hoped for, Frank is the one who gets in trouble and is thrown into solitary confinement for several days. He is also treated unfairly and beaten by the guards, but Meissner, who is the only guard with any conscience, gets angry when he finds out what is happening and berates his colleagues. He immediately lets Frank out of solitary confinement and even apologizes to him. Then he takes Frank to his cell and gives him Melissa's letters. It is revealed that the letters were not given to him earlier on orders of the warden. When Frank visits the garage the next day, his friends are seething with anger at the unfairness of the whole situation. Frank, on the other hand, tells them to cool down.
Yo, it's fine, guys,
because his sentence will end in 21 days. He proclaims that he can make it through anything Drumgoole throws at him. Until then. Unfortunately for the poor man, the sinister warden has other ideas. Drumgoole simply wants an excuse to get Frank in trouble so he can extend the inmate's sentence. This plan takes a dark turn when Drumgoole allows the prison bully Chink and his henchmen to kill First Base in the gym. An enraged Frank rushes to the gym and beats Chink to a pulp, but he ultimately spares Chink's life because he knows the warden will get him thrown in jail for decades if he commits any crime. Drumgoole, who has been watching this, gets angry as he realizes that his plan has been foiled. he exclaims. Just as everything looks to have settled down, one of Chink's men stabs Frank with a makeshift weapon. The fight is then broken up by the guards, and Frank is taken to the infirmary. The following day, Melissa receives the news and visits the infirmary to check on her boyfriend. Drumgool allows her 30 minutes inside the prison facilities, but only a few minutes in, the guards escort her out. Sometime later, Frank is visited by a rather shady inmate who is also in Treadmore. He reveals that he will be released tomorrow, and the first thing he'll do after getting out is physically abuse Melissa. He even shows Frank her picture, driving the latter into a helpless rage. When the shady inmate leaves, Frank begs a guard to let him make a phone call, but he is denied. Enraged and out of options, he goes to Dallas and asks him to help him break out of Gateway. Dallas tells him he shouldn't do this, as he only has 6 days left of his sentence, but Frank insists on going ahead, and eventually the two come up with a plan. That night, Frank overpowers a guard
Go to sleep.
and runs out of the cells, followed by Dallas. They crawl through a narrow space and eventually come to a crossroad. Frank thinks they should run one way, but he concedes when Dallas insists they go the other. In a shocking twist of events, Dallas leads Frank into a trap where Drumgool is waiting. The sadistic warden gloats that now Frank can be given a 10-year-long sentence for attempting to run away for the second time. It is revealed that Drumgool arranged this whole scenario to provoke Frank into attempting an escape. He even convinced Dallas, who had a life imprisonment sentence, to assist him in the plan in exchange for an earlier release. But, as expected, Drumgool watches on as his guards beat Dallas and throw him into a nearby pool of water. He then leaves while the guards advance towards Frank to finish him off. But our hero fights back with all that he has and takes down the bad guys one by one.
Come on!
Just as he is about to pull Dallas out of the pool, one of the guards suddenly jolts up. He grabs a nearby chain, wraps it around Frank's neck, and tries to strangle the inmate. However, Dallas, who is still badly injured, decides to repent for his betrayal by saving his friend's life. He rips an electrical wire from a fuse nearby and puts it in the water. This electrocutes Dallas, as well as the guard, both of whom die on the spot. Dallas became crispy after all. Following this, Frank sneaks into the office of the warden, who has no idea that most of his guards are now dead. He grabs Drumgool and forcibly drags him to the execution room in front of the other guards. There, he ties the warden to the electric chair and tapes his hand to the switch. If he is shot, his hand will trip the switch, and the warden will be electrocuted to death. Meissner and the other guards arrive, and Frank forces Drumgool to confess his entire scheme. However, even after the warden admits his crimes, Frank pulls the switch.
I'm gonna kill him anyway.
Thankfully, nothing happens, as it is revealed that Frank had already cut the power earlier and simply wanted Drumgool to confess. In the aftermath, the corrupt warden is stripped of his position and taken into custody. A few days later, Frank's sentence is over, and he is finally allowed to leave. He meets up with Eclipse one last time, who gives him a cigar as a parting gift. Captain Meissner then walks him out, and Frank jokes that he will miss the captain's smile. The movie ends as Frank walks out of Gateway and embraces his girlfriend.